What's going on? Wild Rift guy, how's it going, man? How's audio sound? Does it sound good? Test, test, test. All right, let's get started and take a look at some of these benchmarks of the Gigabyte Aero 15 gaming and entertainment laptop. This apparently is good for both gamers and creatives. Um, and I've been doing some tests recently with it, and I've been pretty impressed so far. So let's take a look at some of the more detailed specs. Take notes on it. All right, let's get into. I'm going to start with 3D Mark since I love that benchmark. And there was something else that I was going to take a look at. Yeah, let me bring up the hardware info so that you know what we're looking at. So this is an Intel i7 processor with 8 gigabytes of video RAM on the 3080 graphics card. Let me pull that up real quick. GPU 1. It's an NVIDIA RTX. It's an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3080 mobile. Let me pull up the TDP of that so that you can see what the maximum capabilities of this is. NVIDIA control panel. Where'd it go? Properties. So you can see it does not have Optimus. The maximum graphics power is 105 watts. And with the few tests that I've done so far, I've been pretty impressed. But let's try out the 3D Mark Time Spy. You can see the AI settings within the Gigabyte Control Center actually changed my setting to be gaming mode because it sensed what I was about to do, which is pretty cool. Let's go ahead and run this and see what we got. Can you hear the fans picking up now? The GPU is now optimized. Oh wait, you can't see that. Electriz, what's going on, man? Vedrish Gamer. Green screen bugging. Yeah, it's the I'm using the NVIDIA. Let me turn this down a little bit. I'm using the NVIDIA AI green screen, so there's not actually a green screen behind me. What if I add a drop shadow, if that'll be less annoying? Do that real quick. If I can figure out how to do that. Let's see, video capture device, filters, properties. I'm impressed by this action scene every single time. Let's turn the volume up a little bit. So I don't know if this is basically him looking into the past when things when things were better, or if he's already in an alternate dimension and he's trying to get back to his original dimension. By the way, if you guys have not seen the Tomorrow War on Amazon Prime, I highly suggest that. I love a good action movie, and that was a really fun movie to watch. I'm not big enough to get paid to tell you guys to go watch that. It's an awesome movie. Do you have GTA 5? I did download that. I haven't gotten too far in the game yet, but I can jump on there. I think online mode is active within that game, so I can jump in there and test that out for you. The test run was canceled, but why does it do that sometimes? Options. Your graphics, Intel UHD. Okay, so let me make sure that it's not trying to default to my integrated graphics card. NVIDIA control panel. Why is that not pulling up? Okay, auto select. Just make sure we've got high performance going on. Yeah, let me go ahead. For thermals, I'm going to go ahead and pull up Afterburner. You can see what it's doing right now. Is it reading it, or is it just having trouble pulling stuff up right now? There we go. Alright. Now let's run. I want to run this without it deciding to freak out on me. Scaled resolution. Yeah, see, all of these should be automatic. Try this one more time, and if that doesn't work, then we're going to go on to a different benchmark. Go. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like there's a mux switch, so that was kind of a little bit of a bummer. Can you play Cyberpunk? I sure can. I don't know if you guys saw the video where I posted me falling flat on my butt, but landing mostly on my wrist. It's feeling a lot better. I decided to test out my son's hoverboard, and that was not smart, not a smart move. My body feels okay. I don't know why. It sounds like I've got a cold or something, but usually when my voice sounds horrible, I actually don't feel that bad. It's when I'm past that stage that my voice starts feeling better. Play GTA 5. Cyberpunk is a buggy game. Mux, bruh, it's MUX. I mean, it's quicker to say Mux. I've heard it being said both ways. You can see the temperatures going on right there on the CPU and the GPU. Looks like we've got 70 degrees Celsius on the GPU and um, about 80 on the CPU. How do you get these games? Is it free for you? No, unfortunately, it's not. I've been purchasing these games. The most popular ones that I've been hearing people requesting, and I've been so busy just trying to get things going that I haven't actually had time to really enjoy them that much myself. But yeah, from everything that I download on these new computers and install, it's about 900 gigabytes worth of games and software that I've downloaded on this machine. Because I installed a bunch of Adobe Creative apps because this machine is supposed to do really good or do really well with all types of editing and well, I mean Photoshop is not really processor intensive, but it's apparently supposed to let you edit real time in 4K. So I'm going to be doing some tests before the full review showing whether that's actually true or not. No, I've got a little too much at risk to use Steam Unlocked. Last thing I want is to get in trouble for that. I used cracked software for a company that I worked for one time, and my bosses actually told me to do it with it was this really expensive software that was thousands of dollars, and we were just using it temporarily until we could pay for it, and then somehow actually no, it was when we purchased the computer when we actually purchased the software, it synced up our I guess our IP address with that computer when it was being used when it was using it illegally, and we got we got fined quite a bit for using cracked software. But that was actually working for a company. They weren't mad at me at the company because all the higher ups and the bosses knew or basically gave me the go ahead to do it until we could pay for it. This isn't a specific game. It's just the 3D Mark. Um, Actually, I don't know if this is actually from a game. I never actually looked into that if 3D Mark was pulling from an actual game or not. Can you also play Watch Dogs? Um, I won't be able to download that today while I'm working with everything else, but I can look into that for my next reviews. Coming up this month, just to keep you guys informed of what I've got in the cooker, I just received the Razer Blade 15, so I'm going to be doing a full review on that next week and an unboxing of that next week. And then after that, I will finally get in my Alienware X17, and then I'm going to be doing a whole bunch of really cool videos on that as well. Alright, Time Spy score, graphics score, CPU score. Let's go ahead and type this in. Seems a little lower than I thought it would be. Go ahead and screen grab this. Snip. Mark. Oh, did I say Razer Blade 15? Razer Blade 14, that's what I got. Alright, let me go ahead and type that in, just in case I lose that screenshot. Overall score, 8609. Graphics score, 8772. CPU 7789. See, make sure I didn't miss any of these comments. Can I have a laptop from you? All a drawing, laugh my MAO. I wish I could give these laptops, but I have to give these back because I'm not rich enough to pay for them myself. One of these days I might be able to keep more than one laptop, but as of right now, technically I'm unemployed and not making that much from YouTube right now, so I'm basically coasting off of savings. I really love creating my own videos. I've been creating videos for doing visual effects for different companies and commercials and things like that for the past 12 years, but I'm really wanting to get into doing my own thing. It's kind of a suck on your creativity sometimes when you're spending 80% on redos, 80% of your time on redos when people don't know exactly what they want. Alright, so let's jump real quick into Geekbench. See what we got in here. Double check and make sure I've got all my settings as high as they can be. You know what, I'm gonna go into turbo mode just to make sure yeah, turbo mode, the fans do get a little loud, so not a huge fan of that. my microphone closer to me so we don't hear those fans that much. Is that fan noise too loud on your end? Stop begging and ask your mom. I got no laptop for the past 7 years. Well, I mean, um, a decent laptop is better than no laptop. I know you can get Chromebooks for super cheap. It's not Microsoft, but you can basically do all of your web browsing and all of that for just. I think they have some Chromebooks for just a little over $100. Secondhand laptop for 9 years. Wow. So you've been using the same laptop for 9 years? I will always ask myself why 3080 RTX on IPS full HD screen. Please change your name. Why is it just in and at least make it Justin? Well, it's kind of just a play on words with basically tech that's just in. So basically, it's my name, but also it can be looked at from the other angle of tech that's just released, just in. Sounds like a fire extinguisher. We can hear it, but it's okay. I can turn it to gaming mode, not quite turbo mode, which I think, as long as my temps aren't going crazy, I shouldn't need to go in turbo mode. Let me see what my temps are doing right now. Yeah, I mean it's not hot at all. What did it get up to? Got up to 77 highest during that benchmark. Yeah, I'm not too worried about temps on this machine. By the way, the entire backside of the laptop is all exhaust ventilation. So it definitely has a good way of dissipating heat. Alright, so let's type this in real quick. Single core 1487, multi-core 8000. And then I'm going to print screen this as well. Save that as Geekbench. My dad bought a laptop 9 years ago. He gave it to me at 7 years. Okay. What's the maximum temp a laptop should have? Well, it seems to me that most gaming machines by default cap out between 95 and 100 degrees Celsius before they start bottlenecking you. So I'm assuming that you get past the 95 100 mark and it starts getting pretty bad for your laptop. Justin, I have a good idea for video testing cooling pads for laptops. You can reach for companies that made them to sponsor you. I was thinking about that. I haven't really looked into too many cooling pads myself yet. The ones on Amazon don't seem to be very high quality. They all seem to be pretty cheap. And it's always hard for me to trust exactly those Amazon reviews, because I know a lot of times they're paid reviews. All right, last benchmark until we get into some fun gaming. Where is that? Cinemark R23. Why cooling pads, bruh? They just reduced temp by 1 degree. I didn't know that they were that minimal. I always thought they would probably do at least 5. But then again, I haven't looked at it myself. I also, for the people that get really annoyed with fan noise, I'm assuming that they're really gonna hate using a laptop that has double the fan noise. Wow, it's blazing through this single core rendering. No, never mind. This is the multi-core. That makes a lot more sense. Still, the multi-core is going really fast. Venom Plays, how's it holding up so far? So far, pretty good. Apparently, it's capable of 8K editing, and I did a quick test with that yesterday, and um, I was actually able to scrub through in my timeline with multiple layers of 8K video, which was pretty impressive. Yeah, the temperature, actually I should bring the temperature down in my house a little bit. It's 73 degrees Fahrenheit in my room right now. It's probably best to bring that close to 70 for these tests. One thing that was kind of annoying about this laptop that I haven't been able to really figure out yet is the Gigabyte Control Center. This icon down here. I don't want to minimize Cinebench right now, but the Control Center should always be able to be layered on top of your other windows. And for some reason, this Gigabyte Control Center, you have to minimize every single window that you have in order to play with any of those controls. Snowova, how's it going? Welcome to the greatest benchmark tests of your life. Yeah, anyways, it was kind of annoying that the control center is not able to be used until you minimize everything. And there's a few things within the control center that I can show you guys that just kind of appear useless, and the automatic driver updates section on there, just definitely don't use that section, because I noticed that all of the drivers that they have listed on there, when they say there's a new driver, they're actually one driver behind. So every time I use that, it would reinstall an old driver of all of my different utilities, and it took me back and forth a couple times before I realized that that's what it was doing, and there wasn't just brand new updates. It just kept telling me that there were that the old updates were new updates. Do you love Wendy's? I heard Joe loves it. I do like Wendy's. Their spicy chicken sandwich is it's top notch. I love me some spicy chicken sandwiches. Chick-fil-A, their spicy chicken sandwich is really good as well. And one thing I really love about Chick-fil-A is their breakfast biscuits, their breakfast chicken biscuits. But definitely with kids, we go. Chick-fil-A is probably the fast food restaurant that we go to the most. For one, there's just Chick-fil-A's everywhere here in Texas, and the kids love Chick-fil-A. When I go there, I usually get some good grilled nuggets and a spicy chicken sandwich. I get both of those because I can't choose between the two. They're so good. Wendy the imposter is sus. Well, that's pretty dumb. Sounds like a pain to use if you use it often. Yeah, the Gigabyte Control Center is, while this laptop from all the testing I've done is incredibly fast, and the display looks absolutely amazing. It's hard to tell in the stream, but this OLED display, because all the black, everything that's black is basically just a a pixel that's completely 100% off. The blacks look as black as you can be, and all of the colors are just super rich. Man, I used to hate coffee as a kid, and now I can't live without it. If I miss coffee one day, I start getting a super bad headache. I say super a lot, don't I? I should come up with a different descriptive word. I say super and pretty, uh, probably the most out of any of the other words in my descriptive vocabulary. Almost done with the multi-core score, then we'll get to the single core score, and then on to some gaming. Already it's looking like the multi-core score is outperforming some Intel i9 core processors. So it looks like it's doing a pretty good job so far. Sounds like you're in dire need of a thesaurus. Yeah, it's just I I've been using such similar words for so long that I would kind of feel like an imposter to start using words that I don't normally use. I could start working that into my reviews though. Most of my reviews I kind of pre-script, um, so I might put some more descriptive words in there just to get me used to using words that are not the same that I've been using for all this time. Anybody going to see the new Loki movie? Or not going to see? I think you can watch it. You can just stream it now. You just need Disney Plus, which if you have kids, you probably have Disney Plus. But yeah, I was mentioning to some of the other guys in the earlier chat that that movie Tomorrow War with Chris Pratt. I don't know if it's just that's my kind of movie, but that movie was really awesome, super entertaining the entire time. The visual effects for an Amazon movie. I mean, that movie should have been in theaters, and basically you get it for free if you have Amazon Prime. All right, so the CPU multi-core score was 9615. Let's go ahead and write that down. So it's pretty high on the list. Let's do the single core real quick. $96.15 single core TBD. Look at that bucket. Single buckets. Hector Villa. How's it going? Sorry I missed that message. I don't think I've seen you in this chat before. Where are you from, Hector? Wow, those are some big buckets. Yeah, coming from a 3D background, there's something very soothing, honestly, to me about just watching render buckets. And there's nothing better as a computer artist, a 3D artist, than waking up to your finally finished render. Something that you've been working all day on the day before. You work on all your lighting, you're doing tiny little tests, but then you just crank up all your render settings and press render right before you go to bed, and it didn't crash, and it looks amazing when you wake up. That's better than a cup of coffee in the morning. Definitely gonna watch it at some point, but it's looking like my computer is gonna come in today, so I doubt it. Been quite excited. Nice. Did you already tell me which computer you were getting, Venom? All the comments on YouTube start to run together. Yeah, there's nothing like a new machine, a new computer. When I first got my Alienware M17, that was just, yeah, I was giddy as a high school schoolgirl. But yeah, I've been super blessed with just the different people that have helped me out. When COVID hit, I lost my job like a lot of people, but my mom, who actually lives in Kansas City, they have a personal training company, and they actually decided to buy me the Alienware M17 for in exchange for doing video work for their website and their YouTube channel. Um, so I spent probably about 50 hours working on stuff for them. So we worked out that was about the average amount of time that, or the average hourly rate for a video editor. Um, so I was super blessed for them to get that for me right when the pandemic hit, because I definitely needed a machine to start creating stuff and to start working on my own thing. I really don't feel like I'm supposed to go back to working for a company again. I'm kind of at that point in my life where I've plateaued on the amount of money that I can make salary at a company, and just COVID has just really accelerated the amount of jobs that are getting um, basically shipped overseas and outsourced, because a lot of this computer work can honestly be done a lot cheaper than I can do it, from countries that have a lower um, average cost of living than the United States, or a lower income than the United States, so they can work for less. But I'm not complaining, because where I live, I mean, I'm definitely blessed to be where I'm at. I know that there's a lot of people in the world that are jobless, and trying to figure out how to pay the next bill. At least for right now, uh, I can keep paying bills for a couple more months. Let's see the ranking of this single core so far. Yeah, it's not going to show us yet. But yeah, the control center is just super contrasted from the control center that I used in the Asus ROG Zephyrus G15, that last computer review that I did. That computer was, I mean, that control center was the best one that I've seen so far. Being able to sync it to your phone and change all of your thermal settings, look at your computer heat, or your heating in your computer, and your all of your different benchmarks and information like that on the fly in real time from your phone was pretty cool. Oh, awesome! So you're a full time as musician. Um, do you do mostly gigs for events, or do you kind of jump around from um, different companies that hire you out? Yeah, there's nothing like, I mean, there's a lot of starving artists out there, people that just love to create. Um, and it's honestly not about the money. We're trying to figure out a way to create but still pay the bills, and sometimes you have to create in a slightly different way than you'd like, um, or work on the different projects that pay the bills more than uh, just exactly what your creative mind is wanting you to do. Actually, yeah, Venom plays. I'm guessing based on your name that you probably have a lot of music on your channel. I should stop by there, and check it out. But yeah, that's definitely another reason that I don't want to jump back into the corporate world, because I love working remote, working from home. Sometimes it is a little distracting with 3 kids, but um, they're starting to learn more and more that I kind of need my time to focus on work throughout the day. And um, my wife has done a super awesome job kind of balancing her photography business and taking care of our baby at the same time throughout the day. Um, she's been really supportive in helping me kind of get things started. Full-time media consumer. That sounds pretty fun. Kind of jealous. All right, got one more minute until we're going to get into some gaming. So I'm going to scroll up the list to see what the first game request is of, obviously, of a game that I have. GTA 5, that was the first request. So after this, I'm going to jump into GTA 5 and we're going to test out some benchmarks on that. Were you looking for online mode, or just kind of in the story mode to see what the performance is like on that? Let's see who asked for that. Vedrish. Look at that. Look how high up on the list that is. One thing I didn't really like about this laptop is you can't see from the camera angle, but all of the ports are on the sides, which I'm not a huge fan of. It's not a super big deal, but depending on where you have your mouse, you kind of have to have your hand a little bit farther away from the computer in order to not bump into those cables. Luckily, the power cable kind of comes out and then but then back down the side, if that makes sense. It doesn't just come straight out. So it's angled for that purpose, so it doesn't get in the way too much. But my HDMI cable, on the other hand, on the other side, those HDMI cables are really thick. So on the left side of the computer with the HDMI cable plugged in, I don't see how well that would work with people that are left-handed. You would basically have to have your computer or your hand about, say, about 2 inches away from the laptop to not bump into it. Is Vedrish still here? Ahmad A. I'm looking forward to get this exact model, mainly for design work. How is your experience as a creator on it so far? Well, I jumped into it for Adobe Premiere, and that's the most uh, resource intensive software that I use, and I was blown away by the performance. I did a few 8K tests. I'm also doing Adobe Pugent systems benchmark that I'm going to be showing on my full review. But I can also show you the results that I got from that here in a bit if you want. But yeah, I was able to edit 8K video in real time within Adobe Premiere, so that was pretty impressive. And I didn't have to change my settings to be half res or anything like that within the um, preview monitor. So that was pretty cool. Oh, you're left-handed. Are you going to be using the HDMI port a lot? Um, However, on the other side, there is a Thunderbolt 4 port on the right-hand side. So if you want to connect your monitor to Thunderbolt 4, that's an option as well. That'll leave the entire left side of your computer to be free and open for your left hand. So that's an option. And then that webcam was kind of is a little awkward and weird. I can actually real quick show you guys the angle of that once this benchmark is done. But yeah, it's at the bottom of the screen, so it's like this super weird up the nose shot. I'm not sure how much that's going to matter for most people. I do have an external webcam, and the lip on the top of the monitor has just this extra ridge that I was able to latch my external webcam onto, and that didn't, with using that top little ridge, it didn't obstruct the screen in any way. So that, I mean, that works for most people. Almost done. Great, thanks for the info. Best of luck to your channel. I really appreciate that, man. Yeah, I don't know how many people heard in the beginning, but the schedule for this month, I just got in the Razer Blade 14. I'm going to be doing a unboxing and gaming benchmarks and full review all next week. All three of those videos I'm going to need to cram into next week, because at the end of next week I get in my Alienware X17, and then the next 2 weeks I'm going to be dedicating solely to that computer. Is this the 4K or the HD screen? This is the brand new 4K UHD OLED display. This is the newest of the new machines. There's been several different models that have been released in 2021. This is the newest of those, and based on the comments that I've read about the Wi-Fi issues, those all seem to be with the version of this laptop that was just previous to this. I saw on Jared's review, posted about 3 or 4 months ago, that they were talking about Wi-Fi issues. I did a full 24-hour Wi-Fi test, and not once did this laptop's Wi-Fi drop. So that was the biggest concern that I've seen people talk about over and over in all the comments. I actually, before I started scripting my review for this laptop, I read through about 1,000 comments on other videos of this laptop, just to make sure that I'm providing additional information past what was talked about on those channels. This is a slightly different machine than those, but not too much. So I was able to get enough information from all your comments to be able to answer the right questions and make sure to cover the right information. I hope they send Legion 5 Pro. Well, I mean, I wish that brands were actually sending me these on their own, but I've been having to actually purchase a lot of these and return them. Luckily, I haven't had to pay a restocking fee yet. I would feel bad if I didn't see that there were a lot of people clicking on the links and going to the web pages to purchase these. But yeah, they're making a lot of money off of people finally making a purchase after seeing some of these reviews, and making sure that the cons about the machine aren't the cons that they're the most concerned about. But yeah, Legion 5 Pro, out of all of the 1,000 comments that I've read through on the videos for this machine, the Legion 5 Pro was by far the most talked about machine in comparison to this computer. And just overall, I actually put a star next to each computer within this spreadsheet. Every time I saw somebody mention a specific computer, and the Legion 5 Pro was the most talked about computer within the comments of a different one, so that's pretty impressive. I think I'm gonna schedule after the Alienware X17 review to get the Legion 5 Pro, because that seems to be a very talked about machine. I know there's a lot of videos on it already, but I'm gonna kind of give my spin on it from my perspective, and I'm gonna read through all the comments on the videos for that one as well, and just make sure that I'm listening to all the people that aren't really getting heard from by these bigger YouTubers that don't really have time to answer all their comments. And that's really the biggest benefit that I have as far as providing value to you guys is these bigger channels have been doing this a lot longer, and they get these computers way before anybody else. So to be able to provide additional information that they just don't have time to address, that's kind of the niche that I'm hoping to help you guys out with. Losing my voice. Thanks for the info, very helpful to know. Absolutely, Zeem. Alright, 1480 points on the single core score. Let's go ahead and type that in and get into some GTA 5. 1480. And then I'm going to do a quick screen grab on that. There we go. File save as Cinebench R23. Alright, so the Gigabyte Control Center, it's good that the AI automatically turned on gaming mode. That was pretty awesome of it. AI status. Oh, I actually had that off, so I guess I already had it set to gaming mode. But I'm just going to go ahead and force it to gaming mode since we're about to jump into some games. Here's that camera real quick. I'm going to show you the angle of it. So that's what it looks like, kind of an awkward up the angle shot. You can see as I'm my hands are on the keyboard right now. As I'm typing, my fingers are actually obstructing my face. I mean, that's kind of awkward. If you're on a conference call with your boss, I could see this getting a little awkward, and you possibly might be getting made fun of with these giant little spider fingers in front of your face as you're taking notes. So that's kind of weird. If you're using this professionally, you're probably going to want to, I mean, there's not really a way, I mean, I can put my fingers all the way down and kind of try to type straight fingered without seeing my fingers. Or you might want to have to zoom in on your Zoom call and just type really lightly, but yeah, that was just kind of weird. So you'll probably want to use an external webcam if you're doing some professional video conferencing. Why would this ever be acceptable? You know, from what it looks like, the past 3 years, it looks like they've been ignoring people complaining about the webcam being on the bottom. They seem super obsessed with thin bezels on the computer screen, which I'm not really understanding. Everybody is just, these companies are super obsessed with there being thinness, ultimate thinness in computers. And for me, honestly, I just want the best performing laptop. I don't need them to get MacBook Pro or MacBook Air thin. I just want something that's fast and doesn't overheat. Don't need to keep making them smaller. Just keep them the same size and keep just cramming more awesomeness into them. All right, let's jump into Grand Theft Auto 5. Let's turn my volume up a little bit. Let's see, we're an hour in. Let's see, I've got about 5 games to go through, 5 or 6 games. I can spend about 10-15 minutes on this one. It's a gaming computer. More functionality should be added, not removed. That is a very true statement. I agree 100%. So I'm gonna jump into. I haven't jumped into online mode yet. I'm gonna jump into story mode real quick and just kind of show you the benchmarks we're working with, or the frames per second. Loading story mode.
Your son, James.
There we go. So I'm going to show you what my settings are looking like right now. Last time I jumped in there, I cranked my settings up. I can show you what 4K and 1920 look like, but let's start with 4K. Screen type. Let's go full screen. Refresh rate, VSync off because I want to see my maximum amount of frames per second. So, doesn't look like there's too many. Would you like to apply them now? Yes. Keep new settings. Yes. Doesn't look like there's that many quality settings. Frame scaling mode. Extended distance scaling. High detail streaming while flying. Yeah, there's not too many options here. Alright, so right now it looks like we're getting 120. Let me see if I can. There we go. So my low is right there, 113. The high is 119, and right there in the middle, that's going to be showing our average FPS. So let's get into this car. Potty mouth. He needs to watch his mouth. Ho! 254 frames per second. That is not accurate. There's no way there was a high of 254. Maybe when I was in the menu. Maybe that's why it says that. But yeah, right now it looks like the average is about 110 frames per second with the quality settings all the way up. Right now, going through this city, it's looking crazy. Wait, what? Oh, I lost Lamar. Sorry, Lamar. So it looks like our average was resting around 107 frames per second. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that real quick. And then I'm going to show the GPU and CPU temperatures. So right now, The GPU is 71, CPU 77, 84, 83. 82 looks like the highest there, so we'll do 72 and 82. Just as a quick test, I'm going to put the settings back to what they are by default. Restore defaults. See if the quality looks anything less. Apply changes. Graphics. Robo Roof. Oops, my bad. Hey, buddy. I'm trying to follow you. So turning those higher settings on actually seems to have... Oh, wait. That's right. I had to reset my calculations. Where'd it go? Come back here. So about the same FPS by turning those settings off. So that didn't really make too big of a difference. I'm actually seeing a frames per second decrease on that. I wonder why. It's weird. Alright, I'm going to jump into some 4K at the higher settings that I was using before. Long shadows on. We like long shadows. High resolution shadows on. High detail while flying. Graphics. Yes. Advanced graphic. Oh, here we go. VSync off. Good. Okay, so now we're going to jump up to 3840 by 2160. What does 4K gaming in... Oops. What does 4K gaming in GTA... Hey, stop. Apply changes. There we go. Yes, I want that. What does 4K gaming look like? Oops. How'd I catch up with you? Oh, whoops. So it looks like we're getting an average of 39 frames per second. Hey man, I'm your buddy. Why are you crashing into me? So 39 frames per second in 4K. 39 average. And 78 and 84 temperature settings. 4K, 39 FPS. GPU was 78. CPU was 84. Let's see if changing those... Okay, let me check on my comments real quick. Alrighty, I'm back. Thought my PC was here, then I got distracted. How's it going with the game testing? So far, so good. The 4K gaming at GTA 5 was pretty low at 39 frames per second, but pretty acceptable with all the settings up at 107 frames per second at normal 1080p mode. But it looks incredible at 4K. I know 4K is something that is kind of a waste on a 15-inch monitor, but it really looks super sharp this way. So I'm going to turn off those advanced graphics settings at 4K and see if that helps us with... Actually, just restore defaults. And see if this helps us with our frames per second. Refresh rate 30 hertz. No. I want 60 hertz. Oops. Buckets full of bacon. How's it going? Every time I read that name, I get hungry. Right, reset our average. Oh. Oh, catch up with him. Don't want to lose him. Don't want to lose him. 38 frames per second. Hey, come back, buddy. Oh, this car is really hard to control with the WSD keys. So it looks like it's still 39 frames per second. Changing these settings doesn't really seem to do much on here. Extended distance scaling. I would think that this basically just shows more of the background without redrawing.
How about we let Tanisha decide that? She definitely ain't dumb enough to fuck with your ass. Oh, shit!
So yeah, that makes more sense. When you're drawing more of the background, your frames per second goes down a little bit.
Hey, I'll come at you from the shoulders, homie.
38 frames per second can be played, it's just not that good. Yeah, it's true. I mean, it all depends on if you just really love sharpness and crispness, because honestly, this is probably the first game I've played where you literally can't see any pixelation on the edges. I mean, that looks really good. You can see how high res all of these textures are. It's just super sharp. So you have to look really close in there. But even putting my face all the way up on the screen, everything looks really sharp. It looks amazing. Honestly, in 2020, we've become very spoiled with incredibly high frames per second. Poison Scorpion, how's it going? Somebody, hello, how's it going? Alright, so we're going to jump on to the next game because we got some pretty good information out of that one. Alright, let's exit. Exit to the desktop, yes. I think 1440p for laptops is the sweet spot, not 4K. I definitely agree. I think it's good to show people what 4K is capable of with the highest graphics cards, um, just to see what the max is. But yeah, most people are probably going to be the most happy with 1440p. So what's next up? I'm going to scroll to my top because there was a few requests right there in the beginning, and I want to make sure that first come, first serve. Vedris Gamer asked for POG. I don't have that one. Can you play Cyberpunk? We'll jump onto that. Because I do have that one. Make sure I saved these benchmarks. The GPU and CPU for that one. For GTA 5 at HD settings, the GPU was at 72 degrees Celsius and the CPU got up to 82. When I went up to 4K, the GPU got a little bit higher at 78 degrees Celsius and then the CPU at 84 degrees Celsius. So not too hot. That rear exhaust vent is doing a pretty good job getting rid of all that heat. Cyberpunk. Sign up to Red Launcher. Continue without account. Play. Allow access. You can see up there at the top how many watts my GPU is pushing out right now, and it's looking like 86, 87 watts. It's pretty awesome. And then the CPU is pushing out 45 watts right now. Sufiyan, love from India. Much love to you. Thanks for stopping by. Cyberbug. It is nice jumping to Cyberpunk right from GTA 5 since those games are getting compared to each other very often. I like this sci-fi look of Cyberpunk more, but from all of the different comparisons I'm seeing, it looks like GTA 5 has a much more thorough, high-detailed game. At some time, could you try Minecraft Java Edition with shaders? I wonder how the laptop will handle that. You know, I think I'm going to start doing that in my benchmarks because I've been seeing in the comments a lot of people requesting Minecraft, which I always thought that Minecraft was a not so processor intensive game, but I guess once you start adding in really cool shaders and things like that, it can start to bog down the machine. So I think that's a good idea. Alright, so I'm going to reset my averages. Frames per second. Average right now is looking like 70. Let me make sure that my settings are all the way up. Graphics. Ray tracing ultra, yep. That is on. All my settings are jacked up to the max. So I'm going to reset my average. Okay, after doing that, my frames per second went down. Looks like right now it's capping it out at 60. Make sure that that's not what it's doing. VSync is off. Maximum frames per second on. Full screen. So yeah, it looks like it's at 61. Sufayan, you should make a video on Alienware X series. There are only 2 to 3 channels who revealed it. It's surely gonna boost your followers. Well, I'm excited to tell you that my Alienware X17 comes in at the end of next week. Next week I just got in my Razer Blade 14, so I'm going to be dedicating all of next week to 3 videos for the Razer Blade 14. So I think that, so it looks like the average is at 58. I feel like that's getting capped. Go back to that. Yeah, when I first jumped in, it looked like I was getting a higher frames per second. But yeah, so my Alienware should be coming in on the 15th or 16th. I'm going to spend a good amount of time making a good unboxing video of that for the following week. And then the week after that, I'm going to be dedicating to a full review on that machine. And the week of the review, I'll be doing a benchmark test, a live benchmark test on the Wednesday of that week. So what day is that? Actually, I think I'm going to post a schedule for you guys so you can kind of see what this month is looking like. Because I've got this month entirely planned out to what we're going to be doing. Yeah, so July 28th is when I'm going to be doing, Wednesday, July 28th is when I'm going to be doing the Alienware X17 live benchmarks. So make sure to stop by for that, because I'm super excited to see what that technology is going to be bringing. Whoa, significant decrease to 21 frames per second. What just happened? Temperatures are about normal. Wait, let me reset this. Something is not happening the way it should be. Because I got some good frames per second in my other games. Graphics, ray tracing ultra. Make sure that, so GPU loading is at 48%, not even using half of the GPU right now. We go to turbo mode and see if that helps us out at all. Resume. Yeah, why did we all of a sudden just jump down to 29 frames per second? Something kind of messed up here. The GPU stepped down to 70 watts usage as well when it was at 84 watts. Yeah, I don't know why it's capping it out at 30 FPS right now. That should not be. Does it look blurry playing in 1440p on a 4K display? That's a good question. Let's see if we can do that. Let's go to 1440. Is, there we go, is 2560 by 1440. That's right. Does it look blurry? No? Doesn't look blurry. But I am trying to figure out why I'm getting such low frames per second right now. I bet you if I go to 4K, it's going to still look like it's 30 frames per second. No, that actually jumped down to 22 frames per second. Yeesh. That's kind of harsh at 4K. I mean, that's technically not really worth it to go to 4K. It looks really, I mean, when you pause it, when you stop, everything looks really impressive. I'm going to restart this game because something doesn't feel right about the 30 frames per second. Because when other laptops that I've used that are not as powerful as this one have had about 60 frames per second. So I'm going to restart that one real quick. Does going live affect frame rate? What I've done to make sure that going live doesn't have anything to do with it is my live stream is actually running on my Alienware M17 laptop, and I've got a streaming card that I've got an HDMI cable going from my new laptop to the streaming card, and that goes into my Alienware. So basically it's just looking at it as an output right now. Let me see if it's, and it should just be mirroring exactly, duplicate these displays. Yeah, so that shouldn't be affecting it at all. Advanced display settings. Connected to NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3080. So the HDMI is definitely coming from the RTX 3080. Oh, okay, so that brings up one good point. Who had that question? Was it Wild Rift? Somebody had a question about, they said they were left-handed and the HDMI cable being on the left. I mentioned being able to use the Thunderbolt 4 port on the right side of the computer. I do need to mention that the Thunderbolt 4 port is connected to the integrated graphics card, the Intel integrated graphics card, so you won't really be able to do intensive gaming from that Thunderbolt 4 port. Alright, so let me jump back into Cyberpunk. Let's see what's going on here. Do I possibly have another game still running? No? DLSS. Let's see if that's turned on. I think my other games had that turned on though. Check power plug. Yeah, it's plugged in. It's not in battery saver mode. NVIDIA dynamic boost is turned on. Turbo mode. NVIDIA control panel, let's make sure that it's not trying to look at the integrated graphics card instead of the GPU. High performance NVIDIA processor, okay, that's good. Alright, let's take a look at these settings. Yeah, right now the GPU is at 68 degrees Celsius, so it shouldn't be bottlenecking due to heating at all. Yeah, it's still holding it at 30 frames per second. I must have messed something up when I went in here just to check the graphics. I'm gonna go to defaults, confirm the defaults, still at ray tracing ultra. Let me check that DLSS setting real quick. DLSS is set to auto. You're thinking I should turn that off, see what that does? Whoa! Got some crazy motion blur going in here. That messed things up. I think DLSS should be back to auto. Video VSync is off, that's good. Full screen. 1920 by 1080. So changing it to 1920, you know, just to check, I'm going to bring the resolution way down. And see if we get something above 60 frames per second. Yeah. So it shouldn't be an issue of bottlenecking that. So I'm just going to go ahead and record these because it looks like with Cyberpunk this is what you get. This might be a more CPU intensive game, which is why these numbers aren't as impressive as I was expecting and hoping. A 3080 graphics card is super powerful. This computer only has the i7 processor, not an i9. So if this uses mostly CPU, that could be a reason why this is performing lower than I expected. So yeah, the average that we're getting here is 55 frames per second, and the highest temperatures we're getting are 69 and 83. So kind of disappointed with that one, honestly. Let's see what we get for 4K again with that. I wonder if windowed borderless versus windowed full screen makes a difference. Try full screen first. Full screen at 4K, we're getting a incredibly low 28 frames per second. It definitely looks amazing though. 27 average right now. So I'm gonna go in, force DLSS to on, see if that makes a difference. Probably not, because I think it's by default automatically ultra performance. Let's see what that does. Yeah, boosted it a little bit to 37. So I wonder if I should kind of clarify that in the benchmark test, whether DLSS was on or not. Turn DLSS to quality. Ooh, turning that to quality made it super low. What's the ray tracing set to? That is set to on. Basically all of those are on. Set to ultra. Psycho. I don't think anybody ever goes to psycho. That's nuts. But auto seems to be the default, so I'm going to run the benchmarks based off of that, because I think that'll be the most accurate for people. One thing I want to test is to see if turning gaming mode on versus turbo mode changes anything. Reset my averages. So yeah, 26 frames per second. Ouch. Now I'm gonna see if, oops. Changing from windowed mode changes anything. Windowed borderless. Probably not gonna make a difference, but we'll see. Oh, actually I don't want to do that when oh crap. That just jacked it up to where I can't even fix it now. How do I change that when it's... I think I might be able to go into Steam and make sure that it starts not in such a crazy mode. Oh, I hope that didn't just automatically make it to where I can't change my settings now. Let's see what that did. Ugh, it's cutting it off. Well, here's a trick I think I remember. If I go into the Cyberpunk files, I think I can delete the preset settings. Just going to bring that into there. That's saved games, but I guess it's the capture card that's slowing the frame rates. Multiple displays do affect the performance. See, I would think that just mirroring the same display, though, shouldn't really affect it too much. I'm going to make my display 4K. See if that changes things. Hopefully Cyberpunk now starts with the default preset settings because I deleted the user preferences. Oh, actually, that makes more sense. Now that I'm in windowed mode and my screen is actually 4K. Let's see if this changes things. Settings, presets, studio reference. DLSS auto, video, full screen, continue. .28 frames per second, 27, about what we were getting before. Windowed borderless, let's see if that changes anything. .27 frames per second. Alright, so we're getting 74 degrees GPU, 83 CPU. .4K frames per second, we were getting an abysmal 27 frames per second. So that wraps up Cyberpunk. Let's jump on to the next game. Quick game. Just to make sure this doesn't make a difference when I'm testing out 1920, I'm going to change my display settings to 1920. Then jump into Doom Eternal. Unless you guys wanted to check out Forza or The Witcher first, or Call of Duty Black Ops, because I have those as well, or Apex Legends. Just let me know in the chat, and I'll jump onto one of those, because chat rules. Chat rules all. Chat rules all. So now the Gigabyte Control Center is actually in front of everything else. What is up with that? Get out of here. Alright, let's make sure our settings are where we want them to be. Aspect ratio 16:9, 1920. Vertical sync off, full screen. Ultra Nightmare, there it is. That's what we want. The Ultra Nightmare. Ooh, my GPU just went to 100 watts there a second ago. 97 watts. Look at that.
There are 2 hell priests remaining.
Alright, right now we're getting 74 frames per second. I'm going to reset my averages. It's not letting me reset my average. F11 is this hotkey I have for setting averages. I'm going to close Afterburner and then reopen it to reset those. I don't know why that's not resetting. There we go. Reset. Oh! So it looks like we're getting 76 frames per second at 1080p. 77 average. '78 average. So 79, 84 temperatures. Now let's test out 4K and see what that does. Already Doom is seemingly lower frames per second than I expected. Settings. So that's the native. Let me make sure that I'm not sure if this matters or not, but just in case, I like to set my display to exactly what I'm working with within the game. apply changes. There is insufficient video memory for the selected changes. Say what now? Okay. What if I set this to back to 1080? Oh wait, it is 1080p. No, I said change it to 3840. Keep changes. How's there insufficient video memory? So what if I go to Nightmare? Nope, Nightmare will not let you. I have to go to just Ultra. This game is kind of buggy when it comes to Afterburner. I'm going to close it down, reopen it, so that my frames per second averages are accurate. So it looks like we're getting about If it would let me reset my averages. I know 365 frames per second is not what it really got. Guess I just gotta wait for that to come back down to average itself out. How do I get out of here? There we go. Yeah, super choppy. So 36 frames per second, 78, 75 temperatures. Not sure why the temperatures were lower on that one. It's on gaming mode. GPU loading, 97% of the GPU. So, yeah, it doesn't really seem to be performing the way that it should, honestly. Let me test HD one more time. Actually, I'm going to test it without going back down. Gotta go again. See ya, mate. See ya, buckets of bacon. Apply changes. And then the control center gets back in front of the screen. I don't like that. Everything else, it puts it behind everything, but for this game it puts it in front of it and you can't minimize it. Oh, how did I miss that? So what did I say HD was set to? Yeah, I was getting more when I wasn't scaling down from 4K to 1080p. Looks like the average is in the hundreds, not in the 77s. Here's where things get a little crazier though. Once I start getting into all these characters. This is where the high action is. That's the true determination of what your FPS is going to be. So 103. That's the score we're going to give regular mode. Da Memmer, what's up? Alright, let's jump into Forza, because that has some really good benchmarks. After we close Doom and Steam, what? I just played Forza yesterday. What are you talking about? It's not in my account. Forza demo. It says it's installed. Play. I'm going to open it up in Microsoft, Xbox. Alright, let's jump into Shadow of the Tomb Raider then. Problem has occurred with your display driver. Make sure you have the latest display drivers. What in the world? Come on now. It started out in 1920 by 1080. Let's see if this helps. I guess it just doesn't want to start in 4K mode. Ugh. Try rebooting your system. Okay, I'm gonna take Zeem's advice and restart my computer to see if this helps with some of these issues. So it looks like we got about 20 more minutes. If you guys want me to jump into Apex or Call of Duty, let me know and I can jump straight into those. I've already tested out Call of Duty the other day, so I might just go ahead and jump in there to show you guys what that's doing, and then work a little longer on seeing what's going on with Cyberpunk and Forza. Yeah, I'm doing a restart right now. Gaming mode. Check. Recently added. Does it show me my games? Where's my library? My collection. Guess it's saying I don't have games, so Forza won't be listed in there. Please work. This looks like a good sign. Fingers crossed. Ooh, there we go. There we go. Skip, skip, skip. Let's just get to the benchmarks. Make sure my settings are all the way up. Resolution 1920 by 1080, ultra. Yeah. That's what we want. Show FPS on. Alright, let's test this out. Oh wait, I need to make sure that Afterburner's on. Can I restart? Hope that doesn't jack it up too much. Devil in Black, what's going on? Are you late? Little late. I've got about 20 more minutes on this. I've gone through a bunch of benchmarks I can show you real quick. A little disappointed on Cyberpunk 2077. Can show you those results. But I still have Apex and Call of Duty if you want me to jump on one of those, or Shadow of the Tomb Raider, since that has a really good benchmark tool on there as well. I can jump on one of those if you want to check any one of those out above the other. So it looks like we're getting about 120 frames per second at maximum settings. Mighty the developer, what's going on? Good to see you again. Benchmark inaccurate. Please avoid performing other tasks during benchmark mode. Whoops. Yeah, let's run that one more time because I shouldn't have interrupted it to make sure MSI or Afterburner was running. This will be a little bit more accurate. I didn't tell you to close down the whole thing. Enter to start. Double check my settings. Ultra 1080p. Good, good, good. Check, check, check. Benchmark mode. Enter. So in the beginning we're starting off with 71 degrees on the CPU and GPU and 79 on the CPU. See how much more those get jacked up as we go through this game. This game looks amazing. Spute GG, will you be checking the new Alienware X series laptops? Yes, I will be checking those out. I ordered one of those a few weeks ago, and it will be coming in on the 15th of this month. So the following week after that, I'll be doing my unboxing video, and then the week after that is my full review video. I'll be posting a schedule up in the community tab, just showing you guys what I have going on this month. Next week, in order to get right away to the Alienware reviews 2 weeks from now, I'm cramming all 3 of my Razer Blade 14 videos in next week. I'm doing a live unboxing on Monday, a live benchmarks on Wednesday, and then the full review of the Razer Blade 14 on Friday of next week. That way I can jump straight into the Alienware X17 the week after that, and we'll be able to show you guys whether these crazy cool terms they're talking about with this new technology for performance on the Alienware X17 is actually as cool as they're trying to make it out to be. Awesome, mate. Your last Alienware videos have been absolutely brilliant. Thank you. I appreciate that. That means a lot when people appreciate the work that I'm putting into these. Alright, so let me see what the highest points we were getting at on that. The CPU temperatures, the highest GPU was looking to be 82, and this highest CPU is about 84. So let's mark that down real quick. Wait, where's my notes? Where's those benchmarks? In documents. Forza GPU, what did we say it was? $80. Forza Horizon 5 will be big hype. Yeah, I bet that game's gonna look amazing, because Forza 4 looks incredible. Yeah, GPU was 82, CPU during game was about 84, yeah. And what were those? Achieved 112 frames per second. Now let's check and see what 4K does. Right. Video options. Boom. Accept. Ooh, I'm excited to see what this does. This is gonna look amazing. 4K Forza. That's going to be pretty processor intensive. I'm going to run to the bathroom real quick. Oh, whoops. What happened? Video. Benchmark mode. Start benchmark. Alright, let's see what this does. I'm telling you guys, this OLED display looks fantastic. Now I understand why people get super obsessed with the blacks being as black as possible. So right now getting about 47 frames per second, but I've never seen a racing game this sharp before. That's beautiful. We're pushing 82 watts on the GPU and 45 watts on the CPU. GPU is running at 77 degrees Celsius and the CPU is maxing out at about 80. I just saw it top off at 86 degrees Celsius right there. Almost there. 100 yards. Go all the way. Checkpoint. And fiend. 48 frames per second. We got 78 and 84 temperatures. Surprised that 4K had a lower GPU temperature. Oh no, during game it was higher. No, actually it wasn't. And then 48 frames per second. When you think of how much goes into 4K, these are actually not too low of numbers. I mean, everybody wants at least 60 frames per second, but with how crisp that looked, that was pretty impressive. Let's go ahead and close that. Now, let's hope that Shadow of the Tomb Raider works, because it gave me this weird video error last time I tried to play it. Yep. A problem has occurred with your display driver. Your system might not have enough resources. If I change the startup options. $1920 by 1200. That is a weird format. I don't want that. If I just go all out and say 3840. Where's my super sticker? Sufayan, did you do a super sticker? I didn't see one come through. Let me did I have monetization turned off on the stream? Monetization. Oh, I have it turned off. Well, that'll do it. I wonder if I can turn that on midstream. Wouldn't think that would have to do with super stickers though. Okay, I just turned on monetization. I wonder if that opens that up now. Live chat. Oh wow, I can set live chat to subscribers only. I like that. I've never even seen that setting before. Interesting. That's pretty cool. Okay, let's jump into figuring this out. Because my other gaming computers can do this. Let's just set it to the lowest preset settings to just get in there. Now, please let me get into it. Okay, it's let me in now. Skip that. Now, maybe I can change my options now that I'm inside the game. Display and graphics. Highest preset settings. Run benchmark. That was a nice little workaround. So I guess we're doing the 4K test first on Shadow of a Tomb Raider. Yeah, this benchmark is taking a little bit longer because most of them I don't do both 4K and 1080p, but this is giving us some really good feedback on what you should be expecting. Alright, so we're getting 44 right now. It's about what we would expect. Man, that looks so sharp. Where'd the music go? Ooh, those leaves hurt it for a second. It went down to 20 frames per second at one point. So much detail in those trees, though. I have to put my face... Putting my face all the way up against the screen, I can't notice one pixel. That looks fantastic. I wonder how long it takes them to create these worlds like this. Or if they use some sort of computer simulation that kind of builds a lot of that greenery in there. Because I know from a 3D artist standpoint, manually putting in all of those trees and bushes and detail, that's going to take some time. Alright, so what did we get? Average FPS 40. $4K, 40 FPS. GPU, what was the GPU and CPU doing during that time? Did it really jump up to the 90s at one point on the GPU? Yeah, I'm gonna have to say 92 on the GPU. CPU 82. I wonder why the GPUs went up so high on that. That's interesting. GPU 92, CPU, what was that, 80 something? Yeah, it was about 80. Do you accept game donations to add to your benchmarks? Oh, do you mean if you donate a game to me, will I do a benchmark on it? Yeah, if you have a game that you want to donate, I will absolutely do a benchmark for you on that one. So let's show the FPS on the normal mode for this. So Ultra, let's change this back down to 1080p, what most people will be working with. See, why isn't that? Why won't it let me get to 1920 by 1080? That's interesting. I've actually never done a Steam thing on there before, or a Steam donation before. So my name on there is DadTech Broadcast. I wonder if you add me as a friend, that you can send a game that way, possibly. I plan to make a new username. I just have a lot of stuff still with the DadTech Broadcast name on it. Show the desktop. I want to change my display settings. Maybe if I change this back to 1920 by 1080, I won't get so much. Oh, okay. It must be in windowed mode. I need to take it out of windowed mode, put it in full screen mode. It is on full screen mode. I've never seen it. Oh, there we go. Okay, now I can run the benchmark. Wait, what did... Oh, I forgot to apply the changes and now it won't let me go. That's a bug. There we go. Okay, apply changes. Keep the changes. Okay, now I can run the benchmark. Phew, that was an ordeal. Oh, DLSS locks it? It prevents 1080p? Huh.
¡Hey! ¡Cuidado, niños!
That is not as high as it should be. Something's wrong with that. I'm gonna quit the game. Force my screen to be 1080p first. And then do the test. Because, yeah, that was not much higher than the 4K version. Okay, 1080p. Play. A problem has occurred with your display driver. What in the world? Do I need to jump in there with ultra low settings first again? That's super buggy. Okay, now it's letting me get into it, it looks like. So if you ever have that problem with Shadow of a Tomb Raider getting in, just change your settings. Oh, never mind. I had to restart my computer last time to make that work. Well, I'm going to be showing you, I'll add that to the full review. Let's jump on to a different game and see if we get issues with that. Let's jump into Call of Duty. Instead of live streaming, why not record the gameplay and upload it game-wise? You might get more views. Oh, do you mean as far as editing to an edited version so that it's not so boring with all these different gaps? Yeah, people would probably want to see that. But in the full review, I'm going to be doing a very quick numbers-based performance just to show you all the results that I got. So it usually takes quite a bit of time to find a match, so I'm just going to create a custom game. Bot settings. Add bot. Look at all those bots. Yeah, I'm wondering if doing a live stream more at nighttime US time would possibly be more beneficial for some people. I need to take a look at the analytics and see where most people are watching this from as far as the after recording of it, so I can make sure to jump on when the people that care about it the most will be wanting to watch it. So right now getting 102 frames per second average. Uh-oh. So 79 and 85 are the temperatures that we were getting.
Hostiles contesting A. All zones contested. Take them.
102 frames per second. Now, let's take this back to 4K and see what it's capable of there.
Merc forces are contesting Alpha. Hostiles contesting A.
Graphics. Display resolution. 3840 by 2160. Apply. This might get kind of crazy.
Merc forces are contesting Alpha.
25 frames per second average right now. Very choppy,
Enemies contesting
but very sharp.
They're down to their last lives. Take them out. Merc forces are contesting Alpha. Taking Alpha. Alpha locked down. We're winning this.
75.
We have total control. Tied by the numbers, just how we drilled it. Defend all zones.
Okay, reset the averages. Now when there's people involved, that's when we really get accurate frames per second. So we're getting an average of 23 frames per second, 77 and 81 temperatures.
Losing Alpha. We're contesting B. We're contesting Alpha.
What was it, 27? Is that what we were getting?
We're defending B.
Give it one more chance, see what we get third time around with the frames per second.
We're contesting B. We're defending Alpha. We're defending Bravo.
28 frames per second. There's something wrong. 3080 with such low frames on 4K isn't normal.
Marking. We're defending LZ.
Yeah, I'll redo these benchmark tests when I'm not live streaming to see if that makes a difference, but I mean, I've got
Low on lives. You know what to do.
got these settings maxed out. Make sure I'm not doing anything crazy in here.
We're contesting Bravo.
Vertical sync off, frame limit unlimited.
MTC is dry. Give it all you got.
Yeah, these are some pretty typical settings that I do with most of the games. Although I don't really do 4K tests with my laptops. Control center is in gaming mode. Plus, I don't think it shouldn't be getting bottlenecked due to thermals because the thermals aren't even getting that hot.
Training targets for lightning strike. Hostiles are out of lives. Keep up the pressure.
Alright, let's jump into...
We've taken the lead. Stay in the zone. We're going round again.
do one more game. Let's see what... Alright, we've got The Witcher and Apex Legends. Does anybody have a preference on that? Yeah, I'm gonna jump into Apex Legends. see what we get there. Since we're already on 4K, let's start with the 4K mode first on this one. I'm going to do some SSD drive tests on this too, because it doesn't seem like I'm getting any more of a boost on load times with this being a PCIe 4 SSD drive. I would have thought with it having double the speeds of PCIe 4 that I would have seen somewhat of a game loading boost. What is going on here? It's taking a really long time to load, actually. The RAM on this is 16 gigabytes.
Welcome to Apex Legends. I am Bloodhunter. You can call me Bloodhound. Let us begin with basic movement.
30 frames per second. 29 frames per second. Yeah, 29 average. Let's make sure I'm not getting capped out at all. VSync off. Apply. There we go. Okay, so we're getting 52 average frames per second. '76. '76, 80, 77 and 86 temperatures. That I do not know the answer to, Sufyan. Let me see if that information is in HW info. Do you know where I find that information, Sufyan? Whether it's X8 or X16? I would think it'd be in here somewhere. Oh, you have to look at it within. Well, I took a picture when I opened up the laptop, so I'll zoom into the. Actually, probably just look at that real quick on my phone when I took a picture of it. Huh, I don't see that on there. I see 8 GB DDR4 3200. I don't see whether it says, I don't see an X8 or X16 on it. Alright, now for the final benchmark. Let's test out 1080p. See how many frames per second we get on that one. Apply. Wait, I'm going to cancel. I think I didn't have full screen mode on. I was getting nervous that I set it to windowed mode and then changed my resolution, and then I don't have the ability to go back. Okay, full screen. Apply. Alright, much higher frames per second. Oh, now I'm finally getting the total system power setting that I tried to get before on the other ones. GPU temperature. Current CTDP. Okay. Current total design power. I'm not sure why it's putting the labels there at the bottom. Okay, that's about all the testing I need to do. 144 frames per second. I'm liking that. 79 and 84 for the temperatures. Alright guys, that about wraps it up. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions or want me to add something for the full review, I haven't finished editing that yet, so if you want to add that in the comments below or in the comments of my unboxing video, I'll make sure to address those questions in the video. But other than that, thank you guys.